How to make your clients happy with Smartsheet alerts and discussions. In my previous post, I talked about how Slack facilitates much better communication with clients than email does. I don't know about you, but I get flooded with emails. I get like 400 a day. It's very easy for things to get lost. And of course, I have a process to make sure that doesn't happen. But still, in the bigger picture, I find that it's much more efficient having a Slack team in place for clients so that they can communicate with me easily. Now, Slack, as I mentioned in the write-up, gives you some capabilities that make it start to help with project management-like things. For example, I can star posts and I can pin things to a team or channel rather, so that I can easily find and go back to those things and make sure that things get completed. So if somebody sends me a message that represents some form of follow-up, Slack has the infrastructure to facilitate some of that. But at a certain point, we're going to need an actual project management tool, and preferably one that also facilitates really good communication. Enter Smartsheet. Smartsheet makes it really easy with its alerts. There are two kinds, notification and reminders. Notifications are based on events. Reminders are based on date-based things, such as date-based task due dates, for example. And I'm going to show you an example of what this looks like in Smartsheet in just a second. What I love about Smartsheet is it makes it really easy to customize the things that you need to track. You can add as many columns as you want. It looks just like a spreadsheet, but then it has robust project management infrastructure that makes it so much more than a spreadsheet. Let's take a look and I'll show you exactly what this looks like. So over here on my screen, I have a master task list. This is a generic template that I use with every new client, right? And let's say I'm working with a new bookkeeping client, and I'm going to use the example of one that I actually begun onboarding very recently, and the kinds of things that we needed to outline for them. So I schedule the call with the client. We're on the phone. We're using Zoom. We're sharing screens. And while I'm talking to the client, I start outlining the things that we need to do. Set up a company in QuickBooks Online, for example. Right? Then the next thing we'll need to do is link up bank feeds. Now, in this case, they're coming from a product that can't be migrated into QuickBooks in any form, so we're actually going to need to get the trial balance, right? After doing the bank feeds real quick, catch up banking from 1/1 through today. Okay, then we need to get the trial balance, and I'm just going to abbreviate things here. Then we need to book the trial balance, right? We need to get accounts receivable details, right? I need to know exactly what open accounts receivable were there and whose it was, right? And then we can post AR, and then same with AP, get accounts payable details, post AP. And then I also like to put in a section, usually at the top here, general information, Control B to bold that. And over here, somewhere under that, and I'm just hitting the insert key on my keyboard to quickly insert rows. And let's do meetings, right? And so let's say my first meeting with the client was today. I'll have a subtask here called Meeting 2017-05-10 is the day I'm recording this. And the reason I do it in this format is that it sorts really nicely across years. Notice what I did. I came over here on the indent. As soon as I indent something that's underneath something else, it makes it a subtask of that parent. And I like to bold all my parent level tasks here, so to speak. Start date, of course, in this case would be today. You can hit a T to get today's date in there real quick, right? And of course, the due date is today in a case like this. Really, the only purpose of this is then I'm going to take my meeting notes from here, set up timeline for tasks to be completed. This is, of course, in Google Docs, right? Let's quickly make sure the sharing is set up properly on this. I'll go to Advanced, and let's go to Change this. And anyone with the link can edit. Nobody's going to get the link on this except for myself and my client, of course. And now what I can do, and I love this, is I can attach that Google Doc. It has a beautiful Google Drive integration right here in Smartsheet. It's smart enough to see the recent documents I've been in. I'll select that. And now I have a direct link from here right over to the Google Doc. Probably want to title these a little better. Call it client name dash meeting, so I know exactly whose meeting this is when I'm looking just at the document, right? such as when I'm looking at it in the list. But now I have a direct link that will take me right in to that document so that I or the client can make edits and say, no, this was my understanding, and so on and so forth. The other thing, and I mentioned this further down the write-up, is now we can have dialogue right here. I can put comments right here. I wouldn't want to put meeting notes because you don't have a lot of formatting. You don't have any formatting options here, so I can't do bullet points and indents and bolds, and I can't organize the notes. So I wouldn't want to use this for the actual meeting notes, but we can certainly use this to have some of the lighter dialogue around the meeting notes, or if there's a question or things along those lines. Plus, of course, Google Docs itself has amazing infrastructure for facilitating conversations, comments, and there's even a chat when there's two of you in there co-authoring the document. So that's, to me, this is a great way to sort of keep track of everything I'm doing with the client. And the clients love this because I'm putting it right in front of them. And in that first meeting, like I said, which is when we're setting this up, I'm also teaching them how Smartsheet works in case they don't know, in case it's not already something they were using before. Now let's quickly look at how we'd set up some alerts. So the first thing is QuickBooks needs to be set up today, right? So starting and ending on the same day. These two are subtasks, right? So I need the client to link up the bank feeds by tomorrow, right? And I can copy and paste dates like this. Notice what's happening on my right. I have the Gantt view turned on, and I love the way this formats. I love the way it gives me the task descriptions right there next to the color coding that lets me know when something starts and ends. And stay tuned, I'm going to show you another trick about this, a really important setting specific to the Gantt chart that's going to make it even better. So catch up from day one until today. Once the bank feeds are linked up, let's say that starts the next day, 5/12/17. And of course, once I've entered a date, I can click on this and see the context. So if I know I'm starting this on Friday, let's say I expect it'll take me 1 week. Watch this. I can say equals, point to the left, left arrow, +7. Just makes it a little easier sometimes rather than having to pick the date, right? Meanwhile, getting the trial balance, all this other stuff, probably can start the same day, right? And so getting the trial balance would be this. Book the trial balance would have to happen after that. So let's say that's 5/11, right? And a lot of these are going to follow suit, right? So I can just copy and paste just to get this all laid out real quick. Now, the next thing that's going to be really important is who's this assigned to, right? This doesn't apply, but setting up the bank feed is often going to be the client. So let's say Erica is my client in this case, right? So that's going to be her job. Let's put that on that line, actually, linking up the bank feeds. Then my job is going to be to catch up the banking, right? So getting the trial balance, she's going to need to get that for me, getting the AR details, getting the AP details, and then it's going to be up to me to book things once she gets them. Now, let's set up some alerts. So the first thing is we're going to click down here at the bottom where it says alerts. First thing are notifications. Notifications, remember, are event-based things. So when I click this drop-down, I have some choices, right? I can set up notifications based on when a row is added, updated, or deleted, when there are changes in specific columns, when a row is assigned. So I would definitely like that. Notify assigned task is what we'll call this. And so when it's assigned to, changes to Seth David. So that's going to notify me when assigned to changes, right? Or when assigned to changes to me, rather. So really what I'd want to do is notify assigned to when it goes to any value, right? So that way, whoever it's being assigned to should get that notification. I haven't actually played with that before, so I'm assuming it's going to work that way. In any row, I can add a condition based on rows. Email assigned to, in the case of something like this, I'd want to do it right away, right? So let's save that. All right, now the other one I always do is when anything changes on the sheet, I mentioned this in the write-up, I call it anything changes. I want to email all shared users once an hour. This way, they're notified anytime something changes within an hour. Right away would be too much, right? Once a day might be okay. Depends on the situation, but it might not be fast enough in some cases. I'd want to know right away. So if there's if I'm holding somebody up by not getting them what they need, I want to know about it within an hour, not within a day. Then we have reminders, right? So we're going to say new reminder, And again, I want to notify the assigned to, whoever that is, right? And let's start with 5 days before my due date. Notice I can do a specific date on something as well. Let's save that. One more. Notify assigned to. And we want it 1 day before the due date. And you also probably should put a message on something like this saying you have an item due for, client X. I would actually put the client name because remember these sheets, of course, are specific to a client, so you don't have to be dynamic in your message language on something like that. And setting up these alerts will trigger those notifications to go out. You'll get an email, and that email will have a link to this, and it will have the information. The notification that's based on any changes will come with anything that has changed highlighted in yellow. So it makes it really clear and easy to figure out what's changed and where. And this way you can get a link in that email to click over and address things, post your comments and say, hey, just make sure that you have X, Y, Z. I love the fact that we do have the comments thread here next to each task if necessary, so that we can have the dialogue in context of what's being done, what's being talked about, as opposed to having a thread of emails, maybe several threads of emails that I'd have to at some point search my emails to find out what we said, then come back over here and figure out what to do. That's a mess to me. I would much rather have all the dialogue happen in context so that I never have to worry about where to go to find what we said or what we decided upon regarding any particular task. And of course, these projects can be filtered so that we can eliminate things that have been completed. If you notice, I have a completed column, which is also a date-based column. You can do a checkbox. Most people are inclined to do a checkbox, so you just check it off that it was completed. I like to have it be based on a date so that I can see very clearly this was the date that it was completed, and I can sort of compare that with the due date and start getting a general feel of whether or not we're getting things done on time, or if something is slowing us down. I want to know about that so we can address it and try and figure out what's going on. Are we being too aggressive about our due dates, or are we not being efficient about our tasks and projects? That, my friends, is how to use Smartsheet to make your clients really happy with one basic goal in mind. We want to improve our clients' lives so profoundly they couldn't imagine working with anyone else. As always, I hope you had some fun here and learned something along the way. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the web.